All right, everybody, welcome to episode number 46 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. My name is Alex Dorio. I am one of your co-hosts, one of the creatures of the night, and I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, Travis White. And Travis, I was a little nervous about getting into this episode, into the Inferno match. I wasn't sure about it, but taking a page from the immortal Garth Brooks, life is not tried, it is merely survived when you're standing outside the fire. So we just gotta jump in. Am I right?
How about it? Exactly. Was that from No Fences? I can't remember what album that was on.
Wow. I think it's
Garth Brooks, man.
I can't remember if it's In Pieces or Rope in the
As
Wind.
In Pieces, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was In Pieces.
They're all good to me.
They're all great.
One of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
No question.
So jealous. Yeah, man, I'm excited about this. Standing outside the fire. Well, that does happen in this match, so we can't wait to get to that part because I think there's a key person to book that part. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. No, I think it might have been, or go Garth Brooks himself, good old JR. So,
or was it Sawyer Brown?
Could have been Sawyer Brown. Man, we got so much country music on this episode already. I can't wait to break it. Can't wait to break it down. So, yeah, a lot more. So, anyway.
Well, we are talking, of course, about Unforgiven in Your House, the April 1998 WWF pay-per-view, with The Undertaker taking on Kane for the second time, and this time the feud has escalated to the first ever Inferno match. So, man, there's a lot to talk about here. Some of the most insane build-up we've ever seen here on the show, and one of the wildest spectacles we've ever seen on the show. And I mean, let's just think about that for a second. An Inferno match. A match where the ring is surrounded by fire, and the way to win is to light your opponent on fire.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you started talking about this whole feud in general, you were like, I can't believe this is wrestling. This is not your mama's wrestling. You know, this is the whole storyline in general. And now, yeah, you're going to light a brother on fire? Like, oh, man, this really ain't your mama's wrestling. So, yeah. Crazy, man. How far we've come.
It really is. I mean, going back to Survivor Series 1990, where The Undertaker debuted 8 years ago, 45 episodes ago, this idea of a wrestling match, I mean, that's unfathomable.
Oh, yeah.
Unfathomable in the WWF of 1990 with those wrestlers there. I mean, any sort of gimmick, a cage match was about as far as you would go back then, and now we've escalated into the casket match, boiler room brawl, buried alive, last man standing, first blood, all these different things, and now we're lighting people on fire. The business has changed. The WWF has escalated. I mean, everything has escalated.
Yeah.
We're having evening gown matches on this show. There's just it's a different time, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. And it's funny because most of those match types that you just named are all Undertaker gimmicks. So it's funny how unique he is to a lot of these gimmick matches that have taken place over the last 7.5 years we've been covering his career here. So I tell you what, man, I've been looking for a word other than spectacle because I feel like spectacle is the word I use so much talking about these things and just it's just iconic moments and stuff. And again, this match and this build-up is full of spectacle, but I need a thesaurus or something, man, because I looked on thesaurus.com and tableau is a word, but I wouldn't say that any of these things are tableau. But anyway, I don't know. I got to find something else because I feel like we're overusing the word spectacle, but man, I don't know what else to say. It just encapsulates what's going on. So
I feel like tableau is a great jobber's name. Maybe somebody on Raw in 1993. Tableau.
Like Rob Lowe and Tableau.
Yeah. Surprised it wasn't.
Probably.
Might have been.
I'm sure he's in the main event of. He probably was in the main event of Raw one night in '93. So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, anyway, man. But another thing I find unique about this match is that this pay per view again, and we'll talk about it as we get to it. But we're going to do the build up here first. But it's in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Greensboro Coliseum, which historically that's an NWA stomping grounds, Jim Crockett Promotions stuff. The Greensboro Coliseum, so many iconic matches, and the Horsemen and Dusty and all that stuff taking place there, and it's just funny because those guys, the fans in Greensboro have seen so much. So I'm sure that wasn't going into the psychology of let's build an Inferno match that these fans have seen a lot, but it's just to go back and kind of armchair quarterback it and say it is funny though how these fans have probably been wowed and impressed with a lot of stuff over the years, and this is just one more notch in their belt, in Greensboro, this Inferno match.
Yeah, it's a far cry from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ric Flair in a 60-minute Broadway. But we'll get into that. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's jump into the build-up here. We are, of course, picking up right after WrestleMania 14, Undertaker and Kane's first match. Undertaker got the victory, moved the streak to 7-0, but he, like we mentioned on the last episode, he won the battle, but the war is certainly not finished as Kane got up and inflicted more damage upon the Undertaker, and Kane walked out sort of seemingly more victorious, even though Undertaker got the pinfall. Kane walked out standing tall, you might say. So the night after WrestleMania on March 30th, Paul Bearer picks things back up with his version of the "I Have a Dream" speech here on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Hey, the visionary, just like old Martin Luther King. We should have a Paul Bearer Day sometime.
I co-sign on that 100%.
Yeah, let's get that there. We got Martin Luther King Day. We got Paul Bearer Day.
Yes, everyone dresses up as Paul Bearer. I mean, we all carry urns around. We sing.
Yeah. Look at our reflections in our urns.
Yes.
So, anyway, but yeah, this is an iconic episode of Raw just from top to bottom. But yeah, I want to mention a few things about it, but let's focus on what he's got here. Again, the main event of this show is a cage match. So to make use of the time for the guys that had to build the cage, this is when Kane and Paul Bearer come out. I thought it was just smart booking right there. Mm-hmm. And Paul Bearer says, Undertaker, behold your brother. Did you think it was over? And he tells him that you're looking at the only man to ever kick out of the famous tombstone. Which again, we provided the information last week. That's with an asterisk. But as far as the regular fan knows, that's true.
Basically, true.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then he says something cool here. He says, I know that you've changed inside since you finally had to face your flesh and blood now. So I thought that was cool. Again, they never forget any continuity in this storyline. It's really neat. And, Paul Bearer says, you faced your flesh and blood and that you cowered in the corner. And, I had a dream last night, and I'll let you take it from here and tell us what his dream was.
Paul Bearer talks about his dream, and normally when someone tells you about their dream, it's like the least interesting thing in the world. It's really interesting to them, but then they're telling it to you.
Right.
It couldn't be any more boring. Well, not quite the case here. Paul Bearer amps it up, says he dreamt last night.
Yes, Kane! I had a dream! In that dream, I saw a wrestling ring. In that dream, I saw the ring surrounded by fire.
And he saw a vision of The Undertaker and Kane fighting in there. And he challenges The Undertaker to come into this dream match, to step into the ring of fire, to face his brother one more time. Then he goes on to say that the dream is not quite finished yet, that in order to win this match, either you or your brother will have to catch the other person on fire. So he challenges Undertaker to this never-before-seen Inferno match at Unforgiven in your house. Make sure to slip the pay-per-view name in there. And
yes.
There we go. We're getting an Inferno match now. What does this mean? What exactly does this look like? We don't know. It's kind of going back to that when we first started about the Buried Alive match or a lot of these Undertaker gimmick matches. We don't really know what it means. It's just a cool name and a sort of interesting description of what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as well as us being confused, JR and King have no idea what this means. They're like,
Yes.
what is he? Which, again, is cool that they're selling that confusion because you're right. If they'd have been like, oh, well, this is a match that and would have just said what it is and not played confused, it would have taken away from the shock and the realness of it. So I appreciate that they're, getting in line with the kayfabe here. So that's good stuff. But yeah, this was really cool, and I wish Paul Bearer had more dreams. I'd love to see matches he's dreamed up. All kinds of matches. But like you talked last time, that superpowers versus superpowers match would have been great. So, but what an episode of Raw. That's kind of how that scene ends, and then you have at the very end of that, you got DX is reforming, and X-Pac came back on this night, and The Rock takes over the Nation Domination. Austin's given the brand new title. The Winged Eagle title is gone. He's got this new blue belt. Val Venus' first promo is this night, so it's
Historic.
Just a lot of stuff. Yeah, what a show, man.
Yeah, you can kind of point to this as one of the first Raw after WrestleMania as we know it.
Yes.
They had done some stuff before, like Diesel, like Sid powerbombing Shawn Michaels and turning on him.
Right.
That happened on the Raw after WrestleMania a couple years ago, but this is the first one that kind of escalates it to that level that we know of now, with huge returns and big major angles, setting off really the whole next year of storylines. This is the first time we really see a concerted effort of that. So pretty cool.
Yeah. And I checked the history books here, and I went over to see what was on Raw, or what was on Nitro. What did Nitro put up against, because they knew that Austin won as a big coup for the WWF, so they knew the next night they were going to come out guns blazing. And I just want to mention that one of my favorite memories ever on Nitro happened this night, and that was when Jericho read the 1,004 holds that he has. So everyone remembers that. Everyone knows about that if you're a big fan and been watching forever. And I just didn't realize it was on this same night. So pretty cool stuff.
A lot of history.
And kudos to him. Yeah, it was at the 9 o'clock hour. So when Austin comes out at the beginning of Raw, they've got Jericho on the other show, which I remember watching Jericho. So anyway.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, something I don't remember is something you dug up here that took place on April 4th, 1998. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I guess WWF flew over to the UK and did a small short tour there, and so they have Mayhem in Manchester on April 4th, 1998, and it's a UK only show, but it's not technically a pay-per-view, and it's not on the network at all. So we covered One Night Only a few episodes ago because it was on the network and it's technically a pay-per-view. So I'm not sure if this was one of those Sky Sports exclusives or what it was, but it's basically a glorified house show, man. Like, it looks like a house show. Apparently in the States it was released as like an hour-long VHS. They cut up the matches and stuff and just gave you they didn't release the whole thing. So, but Undertaker versus Kane is the main event. And Undertaker comes out and no music. He just comes out and DX beats him up, and he's wearing cutoff sleeves and jeans. So it looks like Biker Taker, which is very strange. He's kind of giving us a glimpse of 2 years from now. But he defeats Kane with a chokeslam and a tombstone in about 3 minutes. But again, I guess it never really counted technically because they never referenced it on Raw or anything on any of these shows because, like One Night Only, we covered that. They covered that in the continuity of WWF programming, but they don't do that at all here, so technically he's beaten Kane twice before we get to this Inferno match, which is kind of strange. But yeah, we'll put up a clip of it on our social media if it's not already up. So it's interesting to check out for sure, though.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no knowledge or memory of that. Maybe some of our UK fans do specifically remember that, but an interesting little footnote.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
As we continue on this feud and this journey, and that takes us into Raw episode 254, April 6th, 1998, on the WWE Network, where we add a little gasoline to this fire, if you will. Undertaker has an interview in the ring with old Kevin Kelly. There's some great signs in the crowd for both Kane and the Undertaker out there. And Kevin Kelly asks Undertaker point blank, your body absorbed a tremendous amount of punishment at WrestleMania. Are you going to be able to do it again at Unforgiven? And Undertaker responds, says, that at WrestleMania, Kane found out I'm not just his brother. I am the Lord of Darkness. You gave me a beating like no one else has. And he is going to accept the challenge. He says, like, just like when we were children, I could beat you up at will. And when all is said and done at Unforgiven and your body is set on fire, it will truly be the beginning of your eternal damnation. So, pretty standard Undertaker promo as he accepts the challenge and tells Kane he's going to destroy him, beat him up like when we were kids. But what's not standard is what happens next.
Surprise, surprise is what we hear through the PA system here. And it's Kane and Paul Bearer, and they're on the Titantron here. So they're, away from the arena here, and they're at the graveside of Undertaker and Kane's parents, where the Lonely Poet, Undertaker, was sitting a couple weeks ago, rubbing his hands to his hair. And
they look like they're at like a Party City Halloween store display. Oh. It's so cheap and fake looking. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, not WWF's finest work. We put over their production a lot here, but not their finest work. You're right. It looks like they're at Party City, or like somebody's your rich neighbor's front yard. They go all out on Halloween and do that stuff. So
rich neighbor is being generous.
Sorry. Your moderately wealthy, high white collar neighbor put some stuff out for Halloween, but all that's missing is a candy dish. So. But he goes on, and Paul Bearer says, we're here where you delivered your Academy Award-winning performance, which I think you and I both agreed on. So, he says that I will ensure. I'm sorry. He says I will ensure that you die a slow, agonizing death in your house. And at this point, Kane takes a sledgehammer and annihilates his parents' gravestones and pours gasoline on them. So again, big fans of the gasoline here, like you said, and then they light the site on fire where the gravestones were. So that's his own parents, man, like storyline wise. So how horrifying,
True. The Undertaker makes a really sad face in the ring. Like he's really disappointed that this has happened. JR mentions that this crowd here is just in stunned silence. And they are, man. The crowd doesn't really know how to react to this.
Yeah.
This is
nope.
We're escalating things here to a different level, and it's gonna keep going.
I really got out of hand there, for sure.
Yeah, no, that says nothing on out of hand. We're still 2 weeks away from out of hand.
Oh, yeah. We got a few weeks before we really go over the top of the silliness. Oh, man, something I just thought of. I want to correct myself from last week. Remember, I didn't even write this down, but we were talking about, we don't know who backstage is a huge Batman fan. We've been comparing Undertaker's, time here to Batman.
Of course.
I completely slipped my mind. Vince Russo has a giant Batman tattoo on his right shoulder.
Really?
Giant He's a huge Batman mark, especially for Batman 66, like the Adam West stuff. So I don't know how much he was into Batman, like, Tim Burton stuff or, Michael Keaton. But I do know that he's a giant Batman mark as well when it comes to the old stuff. So maybe that's where he got it from. But I don't remember Batman's fake brother ever burning his parents' graves down. So anyway.
Somewhere else in the extended DC universe, somewhere. Some other comic book. Sure. I don't even. Martian Manhunter. I don't know.
That brings us to April 13th at Raw 255. April 13th, 98. This is the Raw, the famous Raw, or infamous, depending on which side of the fence you're on, that finally beats Nitro in the ratings after 83 weeks, which is a podcast. So this is the episode that finally beats. Again, they flip-flop back and forth ratings-wise for a while, but this is the one that knocks WCW off their high horse. So,
and of course, typically Stone Cold, Vince McMahon get all the credit for that, and it's this episode of Raw where they face off against each other. So I think there's no question they deserve the lion's share of the credit for that. But much like we mentioned in the WrestleMania 14 episode last week, I think The Undertaker and this feud with Kane, I think it deserves a good chunk of that as well. It's not just one thing that is boosting the WWF right now. This Undertaker-Kane storyline that has been building for so long, and The Undertaker, who has been the backbone of the WWF and the cornerstone, especially during this time, I think he deserves at least a percentage of that credit for helping turn the tide here. I'm fine with
Oh, for
giving
sure.
Stone Cold and Vince most of it, but you gotta throw Undertaker and Kane and Paul Bearer a little chunk of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and DX and Rock. I mean, well, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
most importantly, Kane and Undertaker. Like this story, like again, this story's been building. It's taking some crazy twists and turns. It's going to get out of control here soon. But it definitely should get more credit. I think so. But man, this episode I talked last week about burying the light heavyweight division. Whoo, they're gonna get buried even more here by our boy Undertaker. So tell us what happens here. I was excited for this match. Too Much versus Aguila and El Pantera.
Oh man, main event anywhere in the country for sure. They should dig these guys up for 205 Live. All for it. Why not? Have this match finally take place. But anyway, Undertaker
20 years in the making.
Yes. Undertaker actually comes out and interrupts and chokeslams everybody except for Brian Christopher. Brian Christopher runs away.
Sure.
But he gets three of the guys, Tombstones, Scott Taylor, and of course we've been seeing Kane do this normally. Kane's usually the one that comes out and has a tendency to attack the light heavyweights. And the announcers pick up on that. They're saying this is usually what Kane does. This is his MO. The Undertaker must just be an emotional wreck. Undertaker kind of confirms that. He gets on the mic.
Kane! It's time your big brother shows you what evil is all about.
No longer are you the hunter, but now you are the hunted. And he tells Kane that he can feel his presence in the building and that this night will go on for an eternity until you show your face, Kane. So Undertaker is fed up with what the Undertaker's been doing and is going to use his scare tactics to bring Kane back out. And he's even going to go on later to attack a couple of guys that Kane has attacked before, even more of them. He's attacked these cruiserweights before. He's going to attack another couple of guys.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, later on in the show he attacks the headbangers. But I do like that. Again, commentary points out this is Kane's operation usually doing this kind of stuff. Now Taker's got a screw loose. He's an emotional wreck because of this desecrating his parents' grave. So I do appreciate the commentary paying attention to the continuity because so many times that stuff is lost. So and again, you and I are big sticklers for storytelling. But anyway, later on, headbangers are out. I'm sure the crowd was waiting for their match to get started. But
always.
They're in the ring, and Undertaker comes out again, and Tombstones and chokeslams him, and lights go out, and Kane's music hits at this point, and he and Paul Bearer are on the stage this time. So not on the Tron, they've actually at the arena. They're on the stage this time. So. And Paul's got the well. He says, "So you want your little brother do your rigor mortis?" And dude, at this point, I was watching this the other night and I laughed out loud. He just called the Undertaker rigor mortis like it's a first and last name. I loved it. He's on fire, man. No pun intended, but Paul Bearer is awesome.
Was that Mortis's first name in WCW?
Rigor?
Yeah.
I bet they made it his last name. I bet it was Mortis Rigor. So probably. Knowing them. But it's just, man, it was just classic. I do not remember that line. I don't remember watching that 20 years ago, but it was epic.
It was
so
good.
I just laughed out loud. He's just so incredible. But anyway, going on, he being Paul Bearer, he tells Undertaker that they're going to face each other next week in the cemetery, and they could fight there on the grave where your dead mom and dad are. Where I think he says something about you can fight right here on your insert cuss word here grave. So we'll just see and send you back to hell where you belong. And so it says Kane will be here. Will you? And he kind of cackles like a evil villain, and flames go off, and that's it. So it was pretty cool, though. I think. So
not only are we going to get a match where two guys are going to try to light each other on fire at the pay-per-view. Right. Next week on Raw, before that, we're going to get a match where two guys are going to fight on top of their dead parents' graves.
Right. I like the way you put that.
Well, let's, I have more thoughts. We'll get to it.
And people give WCW a lot of crap for their graveyard matches with Kiss Demon and Sting and Vampiro and the Human Torch match and stuff. But
no.
The seeds were planted right here in 1998. So.
Well, I just realized something as we move on to the Go Home show. This is one of the most. This is no doubt. This is the most insane episode of Raw that we have covered yet. I think there's going to be some more insane ones as we get into the Ministry of Darkness stuff, but this is going to set the bar pretty high. I just realized why this next episode of Raw is so ridiculous.
Oh, what's that?
It takes place on 4/20. April 20th, 1998. That's why this episode of Raw is so off the charts, because everyone was high as they were writing it. That's the only way to explain this episode of Raw.
That is, because, again, we talk about all this continuity and storyline and seriousness and, kayfabe, but, dude, there's some serious gaps in logic here coming on, and I can't wait to talk about this. You're right, though. I didn't even think about that. It's 4/20.
It makes perfect sense now.
It does. It's
oh man! The show starts out with Kevin Kelly live on location at the.
So you're bad.
Yeah, we're in the hole right off the bat. He's at the Dollar General graveyard, and he promises the audience that they will break into the live show whenever Undertaker or Kane arrive at the graveyard.
Yes.
Then we do check back on him a little bit later on as the show is going on, and Kevin reassures us that the Undertaker is just moments away from arriving at the graveyard. Which here's the first problem: how does he know that? Is Undertaker paging him on his cell phone? I'll be there in 10 minutes, buddy. Like, what the heck? How does he know?
I don't know, man. They had a hearse cam or what they had. I'm not sure. Maybe they had like at the Backlot Brawl in '96. Maybe they have a helicopter overhead following Undertaker. Oh, we never saw it. But yeah, seriously, how's Kevin Kelly? Oh, Undertaker is minutes away. I understand. Like, how do you know that? You don't know that. No. I know you don't know that. Oh, it was insulting. So, oh man, no idea. And then I think is it later on as Mosh is facing Dan Severn? Oh. Golly.
Yes.
Dan the Beast Severn.
Dan the Beast Severn.
Yes, sir. I was a huge fan of his.
One of my favorite random Attitude Era theme songs, Dan the Beast Severn.
Oh, yeah.
I love his music.
So good. Yeah, so many good themes back here in '98. So.
And I love his mustache.
No, it's classic. It's up there, man. Top 10 favorite mustaches of all time. So.
Top 5.
Top 5 in wrestling, top 10 in just in life. So.
All right.
We'll break that down on a special bonus episode with Talking Taker. We have nothing else to talk about. So anyway, but as this match is going on, again, this is a main event anywhere else in the country? Mosh or Dan the Beast Severn.
Mm-hmm.
So JR mentions that Undertaker has now arrived at the cemetery and says something big is happening, something huge is happening. So I thought Kevin Kelly said we're going to cut away. Like we skip whatever big is happening there. But we come back to Kevin Kelly, and he gives us an update.
I don't know what he saw inside, but as soon as the Undertaker arrived, he left just as quickly. And before he left, all I heard from inside was a blood-curdling scream. We got crew members going inside.
Where are they? What happened to them? Where are they go? Sir, you know where they're at. Where are they? They're not in there. Where did they go? Huh? You better tell me. Huh?
So I'm just picturing... This is episode. I don't know if you know on The Simpsons, but Ned Flanders, whenever he screams, it's just like high pitched, like a woman. I'm just picturing the Undertaker screaming like that, and then Undertaker pops up out of the screen in his street clothes, as you mentioned from the Mayhem in Manchester
the same outfit.
show.
It's the same exact outfit, same shirt, logo, and everything. So it makes me wonder if they filmed this over in England. Honestly,
maybe, or maybe that's just what the Undertaker wears.
Could just be the same shirt he wears all the time. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, he pops out from. Honestly, he's probably standing right behind the camera guy. It's not like he surprised Kevin Kelly. He's boom, just pops out. And he starts choking him and saying, "Where are they? They're not in there. They're not in there. Where are they? What happened to them? Where'd they go? You better tell me." He's getting all of them in his face. He does it better than I did. Better acting than that. But anyway, not much better. But getting all in his business, and Kelly's telling him, "I don't know." So that's the newest update we have. So.
Which we assume that Undertaker is talking about Kane and Paul Bearer, but we're going to find out that he's actually talking about something else. Where are they? They're not in there. Where are they? Something else has been removed from the cemetery. So we cut back to Kevin Kelly again after the commercial. He again says, I don't know what the Undertaker saw inside. He came to me looking for answers, and I can only speculate right now, but I assume the Undertaker is headed back to the arena, which you picked up on pretty big logic gap here. So explain this to me.
I need everyone to hold the phone, all right? Kevin Kelly says Undertaker is headed back to the arena, and they're minutes away. Okay, this show on 420 is from Long Island, New York. How on God's green earth are Undertaker's parents buried anywhere within like 20 minutes of Long Island, New York? This dude's from Death Valley, which, again, that's got to be out west, right? I mean, Death Valley is out west.
It's either there or in Clemson.
Or Clemson. Maybe he's from the football stadium. Exactly. Either one. Not a quick drive to Long Island Arena or whatever it's called. So I just immediately jumped out at me. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, he's driving back now from the graveside? Like, that does not even make sense, man. That was stupid.
Yes. This doesn't make sense at all. And also, they were at that cemetery a couple weeks ago. Dude,
yeah.
Like, what is happening? And that's not even the half of it.
Nope. Hold on, people. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. It's going to get weird right now.
So a hearse drives into the arena during the Midnight Express versus Flash Funk and Terry Funk match in the NWA angle, which will never die, apparently. It is just eating up television time every single week. So the announcers are saying, well, that's definitely The Undertaker. That's got to be The Undertaker, which means it's 100% not The Undertaker driving
right. Right.
So exactly. Who's driving it?
Well, turns out it was Paul Bearer and Kane get out of the hearse. Somebody else is driving. I don't know what his name is, but drivers are us, whatever his name, driver by numbers. I don't know who he is. But anyway, he gets out, and Paul Bearer and Kane open the back of the hearse, and Paul Bearer is like a giddy little schoolgirl. He's excited, and the very next scene after the break, they're shown there's a casket on the ground already, and one casket's still in the hearse. And I'm no like architect or like anything, but I do have a pretty good idea about mathematics and just geography geometry. And there's no way those two things fit in the back of that hearse, man. No way.
It's not a double wide, double deep hearse. It's only got room
exactly
for one casket in there, but somehow they have two caskets with them.
Yes. And Kane is standing by, and Paul Bearer looks like, again, he's covered in dirt, and his hair is all messed up, and his shirt is grimy.
Which is great. I love that attention to detail.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. They literally dug up these two graves.
So that's the story here, is they dug up the graves of the two dead parents here, and who apparently are buried in Long Island, and drove them back to the arena here. And Paul Bearer has probably my favorite thing I've ever witnessed as far as the history we've been unpacking here. And he goes to push the caskets away, and he's going,
Dig it up, bones!
Dig Mom and Daddy birthday.
that's just the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So I
love
it.
He's singing Randy Travis. He's singing an old classic country song, Digging Up Bones. It's amazing. Amazing. You're right. This is a highlight of our entire journey here. And he makes it clear. He says, Undertaker will be so happy we brought Mama and Daddy back. This is just a Hall of Fame performance again from Paul Bearer. He is relishing just the goofiness, the ridiculousness of all of this. So this continues on. This is already like 6 segments that we've been in.
Yeah.
And then we come back, and the caskets are placed out on the top of the entryway in the arena. They're covered,
on like a black carpet.
Yeah. They're covered in dirt. There's worms and maggots crawling all over them. This is insane.
Yeah,
It's
again
insane.
spectacle. Yeah, it's something. And again, I want to tip my hat to their continuity though here because Paul Bearer says, he reminds the viewers that Undertaker didn't get to attend the funeral. He was too shy to come or too embarrassed or whatever, too scared. So he said, "We just brought the casket here so we could have a nice funeral for your parents." So how nice of him,
That's right. They remember the story.
Yeah, but it's great though because he's even more despicable. Paul Bearer is, and he says, "Look at these cheap caskets I buried them in. I picked just the cheapest pine boxes I could find. So they've been rotting in those for 20 years, Undertaker. It's all your fault." So just lumping on, pouring salt on this wound, man. Such a good heel.
Well, Taker has arrived from the cemetery just in time for this. He's been going 120 miles per hour from Death Valley or Long Island Sound. I don't know. Who knows at this point? Yeah.
Clemson.
He comes out through the crowd. His music hits, lights go out. He comes out of the crowd. He's in street clothes, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've ever seen Undertaker not in his outfit on TV. Besides the Mayhem in Manchester thing, first time ever on Raw or pay-per-view.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because, Mayhem Manchester wasn't technically, I guess, part of continuity. So, no one saw that except the people in UK. So, this is the first time you get him out of his Undertaker garb, his makeup. Again, that's part of what we're talking about this whole this whole podcast, too, is the changes in his character. So, here, talk about being more human. Dude, he's in, legit street clothes, cut off shirt and jeans again for the first time on Raw. So, it's part of his character now,
And as he's doing that, Kane starts pouring the gasoline over the caskets at the instruction of Paul Bearer. Pour the gas on it, Kane.
As soon as he pops the top of the gasoline, immediately JR goes, "You smell that? It must be gasoline." He's 120 yards away.
Him and King have the strongest sense of smell on earth.
I know. Oh, it's ridiculous. So, Undertaker warns Paul, "Don't do this. Don't do this. Do not do this." And
he says you'll die 1,000 deaths if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But of course, this is good versus evil here. So they light the casket on fire. They drop a match on it, and it goes up in a blaze of glory. And immediately, Undertaker bolts up the ramp. And in a pretty cool spot, I think. I mean, they had to time this perfectly. He's running toward the other casket, and Kane grabs him by the throat, and choke slams him onto the other casket that crumbles beneath him.
Yep.
Yeah, I said that because that really happened.
Paul Bearer and Kane put their parents' casket on fire, and Kane chokeslammed the Undertaker into his mother's casket. Because he says,
"Wow,
he
rest in peace with your dead mama."
Right. So they lit they lit the father's casket on fire and chokeslammed Undertaker into the mother's casket. And we actually see the bones inside the casket. The worms are crawling out of it. The crowd is just dead silent during all of this. They're not popping. They're not booing. This is over the top. And JR and King have no idea what to say to any of this either.
Yeah.
They're confused. It's just, to me, look, it's hilarious in some parts, but for me, this was like the jumping the shark moment for me, for Undertaker and Kane and this feud. And look, you got to take everything in wrestling with a grain of salt, especially with the Undertaker. And I know we've gone to some ridiculous levels with the Undertaker, and even with Undertaker and Kane, it's over the top always.
Right.
To me, there's something to just talking about it. Paul Bearer, Undertaker, Kane cutting all these promos and talking about their history. That's one thing, and I think that's great when they can sell it like that, and you're using your imagination to paint this picture. When we're actually bringing out the coffins of the dead parents, lighting them on fire, seeing the bones, choke slamming them into it, for me, and I remember even as a 12-year-old watching this, I didn't care for it then. I thought it was stupid then. I think it's stupid now. I think this is awful. I think this is some of the worst stuff we've seen. It's too much. We've gone way past the enjoyment level. This is over the top. It feels like they were high while they were writing this, and
They may have
we've
been.
jumped the shark to where this is just it's too much for me. And I don't know how you feel about it, but this was I couldn't buy into this.
No, it definitely takes a turn for the goofy, man. But I do say that, like, again, as a go home show to build to the Inferno match, you're not going to get any more heat on a character than the fact that he lit his dead dad's casket on fire and then chokeslammed his brother onto the.
That's beyond wrestling.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying. But as far as you got good guy versus bad guy, how are you going to get any more of a bad guy than that? So, but yeah, no, it is goofy. It is Fruit Loop all over the edge, man, over the top. It's out of control. And yeah, you're right, man. It kind of did jump the shark here. But I don't know who booked this crap, but it is what it is. And yeah. At the end of this episode, we get another update from Michael Cole, and he says that Kane and Paul Bearer have left the arena. Someone should have arrested them, honestly.
Yes.
And their remains have been transferred to a secure area. So I would like to know what kind of secure area that is. And the Undertaker is remaining close to the remains in vigilance. So, which again was probably a word of the day calendar that morning for Vince McMahon, vigilance. So
it must have been. See, that's my other thing too. So speaking of Vince McMahon. What is he doing right now that he's letting all of this go on?
Yeah, kayfabe-wise, yeah.
I can buy into, maybe Vince McMahon is so distracted with the Stone Cold stuff that he's letting all this ridiculousness go on. I could almost buy that, except you've still got Commissioner Slaughter on these episodes.
Right.
He's still trying to have Law and Order with DX and some other segments on the show. He's doing nothing with Undertaker and Kane. And, why was the Buried Alive match so extreme that it had to be it could not be sanctioned by the WWF? But two guys lighting each other on fire, that's cool. Yeah, we'll sanction that. Sign a contract. We're good with that. Having an empty grave that they shovel dirt on top of, no can do. That's
no,
too
sir.
Extreme. Lighting people on fire, book it. Let's do it.
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. That doesn't make any sense from a kayfabe standpoint. You're right. So, yeah, we talk of all the good we put over the writing. Here we go, and we're gonna have to crap on this because again, we want to be fair here, equal, good and bad. And this was pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But
let's get into it, man. Let's get to the match. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. We got Unforgiven in your house on April 26, 1998. So I was 12 years old in 3 days. I get 3 days later. Yeah. So Greensburg Coliseum again, and the show again. The poster for the show is Undertaker, holding his hand out with a cross in the middle and a cross behind him. A lot of religious iconography, as Raven always says. And opening video comes on and compares Kane and Undertaker to Dante's Inferno. Gives a lot of quotes from the poem. I guess it's a poem. Is it a poem or I don't know what you technically call Dante's Inferno, but is that Freddie Blassie who's reading it?
Yeah, Freddie Blassie was reading it. Who was always great on these opening video packages. This was really cool. It's worth checking out if you watch the match. Make sure to watch the very opening video package too. And I wanted to pick out one quote in particular. He reads a few quotes from Dante's Inferno, and one I thought actually it's pretty fitting for this. He says,
"There is no exit from the flame. You are simply transformed into the language of the fire."
And I think that kind of sums up what's happening to The Undertaker through this feud with Kane, is that he is being transformed into the language of the fire. We saw a couple weeks ago where he is doing what Kane did. He's attacking innocent people. And we're going to see as the rest of 1998 goes on, he gets dragged down further and further into this evil character and starts becoming what he had been fighting against. And this is all the beginning of that. So I don't know if they were actually foreshadowing that. I don't want to give them too much credit, but it actually is, if you look deep into it, pretty cool little symbolism there.
Yeah. No, it is really cool, man. I didn't even pick up on that. That's really, really neat. And what a great quote that they had for that. So something else that's great on this show is Sawyer Brown. Those of you who know Sawyer Brown. I'm sorry.
Lip syncing with Jeff Jarrett. And again, like Paul Bearer was cutting a promo while the cage was being set up a few weeks ago. This all happened so they can set the ring up for the Inferno match.
Yeah.
And get all that set
great
up.
use of time.
And
I do like their use of time there. So.
Yeah, and their
Good on
setup is going to come into play during this match as well.
Sure. And just like last month, this match is second from the top again. So again, it gets second top billing, so it is important. And we got JR and the King on commentary, which I think we're going to have for a while going on here. Yeah. And they show King. He's got like roasting sticks. He's got a hot dog and a marshmallow. And it's just funny because JR is like, this is not funny. This is a serious matter. And I want to touch on that in just a few minutes too, because there's something else that JR kind of eats his own words in just a few minutes. But yeah, he's getting on King for taking it not seriously, and which again nowadays that's all they would do is talk about how funny it was and make jokes. But anyway,
but that's my favorite part of the match is that King has the roasting sticks with the marshmallow ready to light it up during the match. That was all him. That had to be. He probably went out to Walmart and bought that because he thought it'd be funny.
Oh, for sure he did.
Sure, he didn't have it approved to say that or to have that. That's just
freaking King, man.
I love it.
So, yeah, it's good stuff. So there's another long video before the match. Again, they're getting this. It's quite a setup. They got to have propane there and all kinds of stuff with the gas and the pipes there. So another long video kind of recapping everything. But we've taken care of all that here on Talking Taker. But Kane comes out first. And commentary lays out Undertaker's entrance, as you have mentioned here quite a bit. It's really just gives it a different feel, when they lay out of his entrance. So, but once the lights come up, man, he gets a real nice ovation. It was enough for me to remark about it, because Greensboro, you think of it as an NWA territory, but I don't think they really liked that NWA match earlier on.
My gosh. Yeah, there's a New Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express match on this pay-per-view in 1998.
It's a turd.
It's so funny to think the Rock and Roll Express was part of the Attitude Era. It's just hilarious to think about.
Golly, man. I never thought about that.
Not a good part, but they were a part of it.
No. But King says that this entrance is nice. He's like, oh, this is nice, but it doesn't intimidate Kane, which I thought was cool. But then he goes on and says, how do you like your Undertaker? Regular or extra crispy? And again, JR reprimands him.
He says,
take this
that's
seriously.
Not even funny.
Yeah, that's not even funny. You take it seriously. So,
they're great during this match. They crack me up.
Yes.
King is so here for somebody getting burned alive. He just can't wait for it to happen.
As a shoot, yeah.
And JR's like,
why
are you saying? He's like, someone's gonna get burned here. And King says, well, it's just hot out here. I'm ready for this match to be over.
Exactly.
I'm ready for the flames to die down.
He's shooting, man.
Yeah, he probably was. Like, that's my whole thing during this match is that, it's not a great match. Spoiler alert, my opinion, this is not a great match. It is a great spectacle, as we've used over and over again.
Tableau,
it is something to see. But,
yeah.
all the credit in the world to these guys for being out there and wrestling I don't know how long, 12 minutes, 15-minute match in the middle of flames. Like, that's exhausting to be out there and trying to run around and do stuff. And you can tell during the match because they don't do a ton of stuff. But,
right.
I got to give them a credit for being able to be out there and do that because it's insane. No one's ever done it before. The closest I can think of, maybe there is some version of this on the indies, but I guess I'm thinking of death matches in Japan where you might have fireworks going off and flames, but I don't know of anything else like this that I've ever seen, and I could be wrong.
Right.
Fill us in, listeners, if they stole this from Japan or somebody else.
Sorry, Meltzer.
I don't know of anything else like this, so it was unique. It was innovative for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. A whole entire match with fire. You had fire on in ECW on the tables or whatever, but nothing where the whole entire thing is surrounded by fire. It's really cool. But the announcers put over the spectacle, and the lights are kind of down for this match, aren't they? Like, it's lit really a lot lower.
Right.
Again, production value is great here because it really is a really striking visual you get here, and just like last month at WrestleMania, when the bell rings, Taker immediately attacks. And so that's twice now in a row that he's done that. And it's really cool because I think JR even comments about that,
He does. He picks up on it.
Yeah, which, again, great. Good on you, JR, because you can't remember that a lot of this stuff he says every month, like it's the first time he's ever said it. But, yeah, he does pick up on that. And it's really a lot of just back and forth in the corner, throwing each other back and forth in the corner and punching and kicking. And Taker hits a stinger splash, goes for old school, and the flames just shoot up, man. And I don't know. It scared me for Undertaker being out there.
It's cool. Yeah, we'll see later on that it's Gerald Briscoe and some other random dude. Looks like the sound guy for Def Leppard over there controlling the flames. Hitting the buttons to make it go up. They figure it out as the match goes along. Eventually, they start doing it with every punch, every kick. Every time they hit the mat, the flames go up. But at first, it's just on a couple high spots where the flames really shoot up. But, I mean, really, to me, this match kind of reminded me of it felt like a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royal where just a lot of punching and kicking, a lot of shoving people in the corner, very few moves. You know, they're trying to, you try to throw somebody out of a Battle Royal, they're trying to throw somebody into the flames. So that's really the story here. Yeah, there's not a lot of technical wrestling, not a lot of moves going down here.
Yeah, and not a lot of, quote unquote, false finishes. It's hard to have a false finish in to get the crowd to rise and fall and crescendo and stuff. It's hard to do that in a match like this. You know, they kind of go over to the edge and maybe lean their face into it or lean their arm into it, but it's hard to get a false finish and to get that drama out of something like this. But something that does happen here is that JR, again, this is what I want to talk about. JR says that Taker was battered at WrestleMania.
He was battered, and he may be battered and fried here tonight at Unforgiven. Yeah, battered and fried. Fried Undertaker.
Wait. Didn't you just reprimand the King for making jokes?
He couldn't help himself.
He couldn't. It's about fried food, man. He can't help himself. So, again, I love JR, but that was just, I had to call him out on that, his hypocrisy.
Well, then King gets in another great line about food. he says that old classic saying.
Look, they say hell hath no pizza, so you don't want to go there.
Who says that? I will from now on. I will definitely say that.
Is a shirt if I've ever heard one.
You know what they say? Hell hath no pizza. Like you don't want to go there. Oh my goodness.
Where did that come from?
What was he? It must be a Memphis thing, dude. I don't know what he's talking about, but I love it. I mean, between Paul Bearer singing "Digging Up Bones" and that statement right there, I was looking forward to recording this episode, man. This is such good sound bites for all the crap of the build up and the choke slams into the bones and maggots. We got these great comments from all the parties involved, so I do appreciate that.
I got another good one here in a minute.
And so I think at this point, I think Kane hits a power slam. Taker, right after Taker is stuck his finger in Kane's bad eye or his good eye. I don't even know which one. I can't keep up with his eyes, but anyway, and then Paul Bearer slides a chair in there, and man, Kane blasts Undertaker, unprotected headshot, just straight head to it, and JR coins and he's Concussion City, so. Brock Lesnar can pay his royalties to JR here, and Concussion City. So that's
funny
great.
How commentators would get excited about that.
Oh yeah.
20 years ago. Now
they say, oh, he hit him on the top of his neck. The large face at the end of the top of his neck. They can't say head at all on commentary nowadays. So, oh man.
Well, as that's going on, I think we've also seen some stuff like. Both guys go for a choke slam at one point.
Yeah.
Kane ends up hitting it. The flames explode. Undertaker fights back. He gets his own choke slam. And Kane sits up from it. They do the thing where I think Undertaker and Sid did it in their match, where they do a double big boot, and both guys go down.
Yeah. The double down, man.
Yeah.
And that's a classic tag team match, wrestling psychology. You get both, the baby face and the heel down. You get the crowd to clap, 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 come on, and they get the hot tag right there. And it works in a singles match as well. But I just do, to break from the silliness, I do want to put over the psychology there, because even these two big men in this spectacle of a match, and it's kind of a slow, plodding, methodical match, but they get this big boot and this double down, and that's the time for them to get to their feet. And but the crowd eats it up. They're clapping just like you would in a tag match, and whoever called that spot, Taker or whatever, they worked the crowd, and they were just pulling the puppet strings, man. And it was just cool to see from a psychology standpoint. I was just really flabbergasted by that. I don't know why, but for some reason, that's the guy. Maybe because there's nothing else to talk about in the match, like as far as the physicality. But that was really cool. But I want to say something too that JR says right before that. He says that Undertaker's beaten everybody he's ever been in the ring with, including Hulk Hogan. He's sure to get that jab in. But I got 2 words for you, man. Shawn Michaels.
You're right.
So
he hasn't beaten Shawn Michaels yet.
Hasn't beaten Shawn. So anyway,
it's not a banner night for JR because he also he calls Kane the one-eyed monster. In all seriousness, and then I don't know how King laid out on that. I don't know how King didn't call something else. I mean, at least he didn't call him the big red one-eyed monster.
Exactly. But yeah, he does call him the one-eyed. Cover your drinks, ladies and gentlemen. He calls him the one-eyed monster. We'll throw a red card for that. I have no idea.
That one didn't stick.
No. Thank God. So, but maybe King covered by saying that Paul Bearer's over there sweating gravy. He said he's sweating gravy. Oh, it's so good.
Love it.
Oh, but yeah,
just
man.
Complete
JR.
fat shaming on Paul Bearer. Every time. Always and forever.
I know.
Never stop.
Man.
Right.
Back. I'm gonna try to get us back to the match here.
Yeah, let's. At this point, Undertaker hits a superplex on Kane and then
cool.
tosses Kane over the top rope. So here's what we were talking about: standing outside the fire.
Yes. So, and again, you think about this match. Well, how are they going to end it? Because the same thing we brought up in Hell in a Cell. Like they go out of the ring or out of the cell, and you're like, the whole point of the match was you can't get out.
Right.
But they do. But they had a storyline reason for why they did, and I think I mentioned it's got to have Pat Patterson written on that, to get out of there because he's allegedly one of the greatest, finish guys in the company and in history. And so we're getting into the finish of this match here. Kane gets tossed over the top and he walks up the ramp here, and Taker is trying to figure out. You can see him in the ring. He's playing out like, how can I get out? Like, I got to light him on fire. How can I get out to get him? And at this point, Kane is attacked by a foe from his past.
Vader attacks Kane, returning from No Way Out. Was the last time we saw him when he was beaten up and bloodied by Kane. So we're gonna.
They played dodge wrench.
Right.
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
Well, they're gonna transition into a feud. So this is the beginning of that. He fights with Kane, and he's really there because Undertaker is going to jump over the top rope, over the flames, and hit his big giant dive onto Kane and Vader right as the flames jump up and burst higher and higher. Just a really, really awesome spot and visual here. That's really what we've all been building towards, seeing something like that. So excellent storytelling there. Great spot, and like you said, the crowd is really waking up. They're kind of in awe of everything at the beginning, but they're definitely starting to get into things now.
Yeah, and again, I think that's just what a cool way to someone's like, well, crap, how do we figure out how to get him out of the ring? Oh, I'll just have Vader come down and he'll jump over. Like, it's got to be Pat Patterson, man. I just speculating, but that's what a unique way to figure that out and say, well, we got to get out of the ring. So you got Taker chants from the audience again. They're coming alive here, and Paul Bearer comes and hits Taker, in the back with a chair, and of course he no-sells it, and he nails Kane with this chair, and this is where Kane falls, head and arms first underneath the apron. So this is not as bad of a spill as Titus O'Neil took at the Greatest Royal Rumble there, but he does fall, and strategically his head and his arms are underneath the apron. So this is where the magic happens. So
yes, I don't know exactly how they did it, but they're basically prepping his arm with something to where flames can go on it, but he's not going to get burned. I don't know how exactly they do that or what sort of thing that is, but that's what's happening there. But to distract us while that's happening, Paul Bearer runs up the aisleway, waddles, I guess, to Sawyer Brown's stage. Undertaker stalks him back there, picks up a bass drum and smashes it over Paul Bearer's head. And Paul Bearer, by God, does a blade job in this match.
He gets the juice, man.
Kidding me?
Was that necessary?
Absolutely.
No. I cannot believe you just said this sentence The Undertaker picks up a bass drum and hits Paul Bearer on the head with it.
We've come a long way, man.
What are we talking
What
about?
are we doing?
How about it?
What is this episode?
I don't know, man. It's
That's
craziness.
only somehow about the fourth most ridiculous thing we've seen on this episode.
Yeah,
is that.
Exactly. Bear he doesn't have a crimson mask, but he's got a little blood coming from his forehead. Kudos to him for being one of the boys and taking a blade job there, and completely unnecessary, but it works. And at this point, Taker does the throat slash, and the crowd's loves it. And he's walking back toward the ring here. And Kane has a chair, I believe, right? And he goes to swing it at Taker, but Taker gives him a big boot. And must have been a big, big, big boot, because it's enough to knock Kane back into the flames. And his arm catches on fire. And so technically at 16 minutes, the match is over here.
That's right. He set his brother on fire. Kane kind of holds that arm up real high so everybody can see it as he stumbles backstage to get it extinguished, and the bell rings. Undertaker has won the historic first ever Inferno match. Yet another. I mean, we've seen, I guess, like 6 or 7 now kind of first ever matches that the Undertaker's been a part of. And JR points out on commentary that history has repeated itself, and for the second time, the Undertaker has set his little brother on fire. So we get a great visual here at the end. Really, really cool looking as Undertaker does his pose in the ring, the Shakespeare pose, as the flames just roar all around him. The lights are down, purple lights, flames roaring up all over him. Very, very cool visual here. Again, to me, it's not a good match. Like, it's, maybe like 1 star for the wrestling level.
Yeah.
Spectacle-wise, it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to see. It's definitely, you're entertained in it for the whole 15 minutes. It keeps your attention. It's not the greatest gimmick match of all time, but for the spectacle of it, for sure, I give it a thumbs up. Worth watching. Definitely interesting. What do you think? Yeah,
I agree, man. Like I said, this not a technical masterpiece, but I can't imagine wrestling in the Ring of Fire.
Oh yeah,
and they guys are probably sucking wind, man. I'm sure it's hot,
Oh, you can see Undertaker towards the end. After he does the stuff with Paul Bearer and he's walking back towards Kane, he is gassed.
Yeah, yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah,
but again, we keep saying that word spectacle. As a visual, I'm trying to think of something else. As a whatever, it is really cool visual and stuff to see. And it's not going to win any Match of the Year awards, but story, this is probably one of the best stories of the year. Stretching back from last year as far as storytelling wise. So really cool stuff. A lot of great commentary and neat sound bites. Thank God for that, because otherwise it would have been not quite as entertaining. So, the Phenom lives is what JR says here. As the show goes off the air, the Phenom lives, which again we knew that, but yeah, technically he's beat him twice on pay-per-view and once in the UK, so he's 3-0 against his brother. So
it is. It's worth seeing at least once, I would say.
Sure.
It's not on the level of the Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels, or the Bret Hart matches, or even the Mankind matches that we've seen so far. It's not. I don't think it holds up well over rewatching. I think it's probably the second time I've ever seen it.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not one you probably want to revisit over and over again. But if you've never seen it, it's definitely worth checking out at least one time. Like you said, especially for the commentary, pretty hilarious gems in the commentary there. So yeah. And that's going to put the Undertaker and Kane feud on pause here for at least one episode as we transition into something else pretty historic, too, as we move on to King of the Ring 1998. And the Undertaker will resume his other most historic feud against Mankind in another gimmick match, the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, probably the most iconic Hell in a Cell match with the craziest bumps and everything. Again, it's been replayed to death, and again, we've already stated our opinion that the first one is our favorite, probably, but this one's definitely the most iconic, probably the most will stand the test of time as the quote unquote best or whatever. But yeah, Undertaker's going to skip the May pay-per-view, so we're going right into June next, and I can't wait to get to that. We may try something a little different with that one. So.
Yeah, we are looking at doing something we did for Royal Rumble 1997. We are probably, if we can work out our schedule to do it and set it up right, I think we're going to do a watch along for this match. We'll queue up the WWE Network, give you guys the time cue, and we will do commentary over it. And that's because, as Travis just mentioned.
Not because we think we're funny or,
oh, no.
or good.
I mean, the JR and King commentary is iconic for this. So
Sure.
We're not trying to improve on that. But,
No.
It's the 20th anniversary of this match. It's arguably the most famous match in WWF history, top 5 easily. It's also been talked and discussed to death. And Bruce Pritchard and Conrad are going to talk about it on their podcast this week. That's going to come out today, actually. It's the 20th anniversary of it. I don't know that we can offer all that much else as far as analysis of it. So maybe if we try to just do a little running commentary over it and talk about, what it's like from a fan's eye watching it and being a part of it. That'll be our sort of attempt at doing something a little bit different at talking about a match that's been talked about to death, especially right now and its 20th anniversary. So
right,
we're thinking about trying that. We'll let you know how it works out on the episode. If it sucks, then I don't know. We might change it up. We might do something else. But that's the that's the game plan right now for that next episode. So we will encourage you to watch that. Just another couple other quick recommendations, real quick. You mentioned on last week's episode, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the episode of Photo Shoot on the WWE Network with Goldust on it, where he talks about the Undertaker's casket match. I really love that show. Anyway, Photo Shoot show is really interesting if you've never watched it. It's one of the better originals, I think, along with Table for Three. So that one's worth checking out, especially Undertaker fans. And the Godfather episode, which surprisingly is also really entertaining, and we get a lot of commentary from the Godfather about his relationship with the Undertaker and about those BSK, about stealing the urn, about the casket match he had with Undertaker. It's really cool. Even if you're not a Godfather fan, which I'm not a huge Godfather fan, but that show was really interesting and really well put together, and some good Undertaker gems on there.
Yeah, definitely was. Definitely was. Well, other than that, what are all our? I'm not our social media here. Facebook.com. Do we have a Facebook /
Yes, we have a Facebook.
I'm just kidding. I know. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Talking Taker, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube. Comment, rate, subscribe. Give us some feedback. Let your friends know about it. Buy a T-shirt. You know what to do at this point, people.
Exactly. If you were there, the Greensboro Coliseum this night, let us know what it was like to see good old Ricky and Robert there before in the Attitude Era. Oh, my word. I never thought about that.
I mean, you could probably go to Greensboro Coliseum right now, and there's a 70% chance they'll be out there.
Yes. Ricky Morton has his wrestling school about 40 minutes from me right now, so I need to go by there and check it out. So anyway.
Get him on the show.
I'll see if we don't have guests, but we'd like to.
We will have.
If I can get Ricky Morton.
Ricky Morton has an open invitation to come talk Taker.
Absolutely, he does. So if you were there at Greensboro Coliseum, if you saw this, and just tell us what you thought. We'd love to hear. We've heard from a couple people over a few of our episodes, and so we'd really like to hear from some more. So yeah, if you were there, let us know. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, take her easy.
Last night I dug your picture out from our old dresser drawer. I set it on the table and I talked to it till 4. I read some more love letters right up till the break of dawn. Yeah, I've been sitting alone, digging up bones. Then I went through the jewelry and I found our wedding rings. I put mine on my finger, and I gave yours a fling. Across this lonely bedroom of our recent broken home. Yeah, tonight I'm sitting alone, digging up bones. I'm digging up bones digging up bones, exhuming things that's better left alone. But I'm resurrecting memories of love that's dead and gone. Yet tonight I'm sitting alone.